There was a time in America when winter wasn't something you complained about. It was something you prepared for. Long before smart thermostats and heated seats, families faced the cold with planning, patience, and practical wisdom. Frost would trace patterns across the windows. Wind would rattle the doors. And yet inside those homes, there was warmth, not just from fire, but from knowledge passed down through generations. Our grandparents didn't just survive winter. They respected it, they studied it, and they mastered it. Today, we're revisiting those proven winter survival lessons from America's early generations, not as nostalgia, but as practical wisdom that still works right now. 1. Layer smart. Grandma never handed you just a coat. She built you in layers. An undershirt, a flannel shirt, a wool sweater, and then the heavy outer coat. It wasn't fussiness. It was strategy. Each thin layer trapped warm air between fabrics, turning your body into its own insulation system. Kids standing at frozen bus stops looked bundled beyond recognition, but they were warm because those layers worked together. Even today, smart layering beats one oversized jacket every single time. 2. Wool power. Every winter drawer had thick wool socks folded neatly inside. They weren't soft and fashionable. They were dependable. Wool has the remarkable ability to keep insulating even when damp, which mattered when snow slipped into boots or sweat built up during work. Farmers, paperboys, and kids sledding down icy hills trusted wool because cold feet could ruin an entire day. It wasn't about comfort. It was about reliability. 3. Stay dry. If there was one rule repeated at every back door, it was simple: stay dry. Wet gloves meant numb fingers. Damp jeans meant shivering by sunset. Our grandparents understood that moisture steals heat faster than almost anything else. That's why boots dried by the stove overnight and snow-soaked mittens were swapped immediately. Staying dry wasn't overprotective parenting. It was winter survival 101. 4. Iron heat. In many homes, a cast iron stove stood steady in the living room, glowing softly on the coldest nights. Cast iron doesn't just produce heat, it holds it. Even after the flames died down, the stove continued radiating warmth for hours. Families gathered around it for stories, card games, and quiet evenings. That steady, radiant heat required no electricity, just preparation and respect for the season. 5. Curtain shield. When late fall arrived, heavy curtains replaced light summer drapes. Thick fabric became a barrier against icy drafts sneaking through window frames. At sunset, those curtains were drawn tight, trapping warm air inside and blocking cold air out. It was simple physics: trapped air equals insulation. Even today, closing heavy curtains at night can noticeably reduce heat loss, just like it did decades ago. 6. Newspaper guard. Old newspapers were never thrown away during winter. They were folded, stacked, and saved for practical use. Drafty window cracks were stuffed tight. Wet boots were packed overnight to draw out moisture. Exposed pipes were wrapped in layers to prevent freezing. Newspaper created pockets of dead air, and dead air meant warmth. It cost nothing, but it worked. 7. Kitchen warmth. The kitchen was often the warmest room in the house. A wood stove or oven ran for hours, simmering stews while filling the room with steady heat. Families naturally gathered there. Homework at the table, boots drying by the stove, conversations stretching into the evening. Concentrating life in the warmest space made practical sense. Even today, cooking on a cold day brings more than food. It brings warmth to the heart of the home. 8. Flannel comfort. Sliding into bed on a freezing January night could feel unbearable unless flannel sheets were waiting. That brushed cotton trapped warmth immediately, removing the icy shock of cold fabric. Families switched to flannel in fall and kept it until spring. It was a small change that made long winter nights far more comfortable. Survival sometimes looks like simple comfort done right. 9. Hot bottle. Before electric blankets, there was the hot water bottle. Filled with boiling water and tucked beneath heavy quilts, it transformed a freezing bed into a sanctuary. It radiated gentle warmth for hours, especially around cold feet. Children would wait their turn for one, and mothers tucked them into cribs and sickbeds alike. It was simple, affordable, and incredibly effective. 10. Blanket fort. On the coldest nights, families didn't waste heat on empty rooms. They gathered together and created smaller insulated spaces with quilts and blankets. Concentrated body heat made that enclosed area surprisingly warm. What felt like a cozy family moment was actually a smart heat conservation strategy. Closing off in used rooms today works on the same principle. 11. Snow barrier. It may sound surprising, but snow became an ally. Families would bank snow along the foundation of their homes, forming a natural insulating wall against wind. Snow is mostly trapped air, and trapped air slows heat loss. That snowy pile against the house wasn't neglect. It was protection built by nature itself. 12. Hearty fuel. Winter demanded more calories. Thick beef stews, baked potatoes, fresh bread, and slow-cooked roasts weren't indulgences. They were fuel. The body burns more energy in cold weather simply to stay warm. A bowl of hot stew after hours outside replenished both strength and warmth. Food wasn't just nourishment, it was internal insulation. 13. Ginger warmth. Long before modern wellness trends, ginger tea simmered quietly on stovetops. Cinnamon stirred into oatmeal. Cloves steeped in cider. These warming spices stimulated circulation and created a subtle internal heat that lasted. Grandparents didn't need scientific studies, they trusted experience. A warm cup between cold hands could lift both temperature and spirits. 14. Active living. Winter didn't mean sitting still. Wood had to be chopped, snow shoveled, animals fed, and chores completed. Movement kept blood flowing and bodies warm even in modestly heated homes. Staying active was more than productivity, it was temperature management. Even today, a brisk walk or light work can warm you faster than turning up a thermostat. 15. Neighbor support. Perhaps the greatest winter survival tool wasn't physical at all, it was community. Neighbors checked in after storms. Firewood was shared. A pot of soup arrived at the door without being asked for. Winter was faced together, not alone. That quiet support system made the harshest months bearable and reminded everyone that survival was both practical and relational. Final thoughts. When you look at these 15 lessons together, something powerful becomes clear. This wasn't random advice, it was a complete system. Clothing, insulation, food, movement, and community all worked together seamlessly. Our grandparents didn't have modern convenience, but they had preparation. They had awareness. They had confidence built from lived experience. And here's the truth. None of these lessons are outdated. Layering still works. Wool still insulates. Stew still warms. Community still matters. Winter will always test us in unexpected ways. But the wisdom passed down from America's early generations reminds us that simplicity and preparation can carry us through more than we think. If this brought back memories or taught you something new, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to American Restored. There's more timeless wisdom waiting to be rediscovered.